Hello and welcome to Van TV Media. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends to get daily updates.
Hello guys, welcome back to our platform. Guys, if you're new, please just consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notification bell so that in case we do upload any story, you'll be the first one to view. Guys, Trump took some of the Africans who were given status of refugee to America. There were 49 of them. In total, there are supposed to be 8,000 Afrikaners to be taken to US, but the first trip was 49 people who were taken to America last week. So the reason being that those people in Africa, in South Africa, the farmers, the land was taken away from them. They were discriminated by the Africans. They were killed. So that's why they cried to President Donald Trump to come and relieve them by taking them to America so that they can have a new living. So this issue has brought out a different reaction among those people who are living in America. Just listen to this and we'll continue.
So I have a question. I work with the homeless population, and I know for a fact that we still have plenty of veterans who are homeless and also U.S. citizens that are homeless. So I wonder how it makes you feel knowing that instead of getting services for the vets and for the U.S. citizens, that this administration has now welcomed white South Africans, and they're going to get all kinds of help from the government. And I want to know, for those who are cheering the horrific deportation or kidnapping, because really that's all it is kidnapping, because there's no court orders and these people are just grabbing people off the street. They're not identifying themselves. It's horrific. So that's my question. What does everybody think about the fact that now our government is bringing refugees from South Africa? And he said something along the lines of they have a rich, long history of all that they've done, and now the way that they're being treated is horrific. So I want to know, the American farmers here that have lost their farms, are those going to these refugees? Are they going to give those farms to the refugees? The people who lost their family farms. So that's my question. What do we think?
And worst of all, they actually appreciate and stand with America. Disgusting. This is just absolutely horrible and disgusting, and I can't stand it.
I cannot believe there are babies and children who are actually so well behaved. This is much better than mine.
Trump is allowing these horrible, awful, disgusting refugees into this country. I don't know if you got a good count of them in that video, but there was a total of 59 of those horrible, awful people. And those people are white African refugees, the worst of the worst. You saw that those disgusting people, they come into our country waving American flags, holding their own children which, by the way, are very well behaved. They can understand what people are saying to them because they speak this insane language called English. And worst of all, they're all business people who are capitalists of all things. And yeah, this basically just has to be stopped. We can't have these natives of Africa, people whose family lineage goes back to the 1700s from the Dutch. By the way, that's over 400 years. Those white people are more native to Africa than black people who got to America 400 years ago. Just let that sink in. We just can't be accepting these kinds of people. They don't meet any of the refugee criteria. They speak English. They have good families. They're hardworking and actually have businesses.
So if you've ever had trouble understanding white privilege before, this whole white Afrikaner refugee debacle might paint a clearer picture for you. This is happening at the same time the rights of others are being stripped away, ignored, and innocent people are being rounded up illegally, including those who have been protesting an actual genocide. Just to sum things up very quickly for you, there is no genocide happening in South Africa, and especially not a white genocide. There's never been a clearer example of imperialist white supremacist hypocrisy. The very same folks denying genocide in Gaza are the ones believing that there is a genocide happening in South Africa. Apparently a genocide that targets only a specific group of white people, Afrikaners, within the various other white South Africans who descended from many different groups such as the British, Greeks, Portuguese, Lithuanians. There are no claims of genocide against these white South Africans. Ask yourself why. What's really going on here? Now, I understand that many South Africans leave the country for better opportunities, and this applies to South Africans of all races. But peddling dangerous lies about the country, especially one pushed by alt-right, racist civil rights groups like AfriForum and shady ex-South African billionaires like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Dave Sachs, and Joel Pollack, is just wrong. It undermines the country and it disrespects the real suffering that many South Africans, again of all races, face because of violent crime and poverty in the country. Not to mention actual refugees fleeing an actual genocide. Just stop it. It is pathetic and embarrassing. And you should know better than sharing right-wing racist propaganda in Twitter.
81% of South Africa is black. Only 7% is white. Yet 100% of the refugees that Trump allowed into America from South Africa are white. Can somebody explain that to me?
In case you're wondering whether there's any racism in the Trump administration, consider this wild fact. So you know how they've basically stopped anybody from coming to the United States claiming refugee status? Well, they've decided to put an asterisk on that, and they're going to allow 8,000 South African Afrikaners to come here as refugees. Those are white people, by the way. So why are the white South Africans allowed to be classified as refugees and come to the United States, but a refugee from El Salvador is not allowed to, or a refugee from Panama, or a refugee from Peru? Why aren't they allowed? Well, I'll give you it's one thing. They're brown, those South Africans are white. There is very little evidence that these Afrikaners are being persecuted at home. The government's saying, we're not doing anything. No one else seems to be able to confirm that fact. Yet the Trump administration is going to leapfrog those 8,000 Afrikaners into the United States in front of everybody else. Now, I would assume that all of the Trump supporters who are against all refugees coming to the United States are going to be outraged about this, right?
They only want white people here. Because when we think about refugees who need immediate resettlement, expedited screenings, we usually think about people who are fleeing extreme violence, persecution, famine, war in places like South Sudan, Myanmar, the Congo, not white Afrikaners. See that chartered plane the Trump administration is sending? It's not going to collect refugees that have been sitting in resettlement camps for years, fully vetted, waiting to come to the United States to escape violence. No, it's going to South Africa to collect white people who claim they're being discriminated against. Why would they be getting discriminated against? Probably because they spent generations instituting legalized forms of racial segregation and discrimination called apartheid, aka Stephen Miller's wet dream. See, while the rest of the world after World War II saw that maybe racial discrimination not such a hot idea and favored more policies of integration and away from colonization, Afrikaners doubled down on that shit and instituted apartheid. Although it ended over 30 years ago, the social and economic legacies of apartheid continue today. South Africa is the most unequal country in the entire world, according to the World Bank, with white South Africans earning over 12 times what black South Africans do. But don't worry, we're going to make sure that the white Afrikaners who instituted generations of discrimination and segregation against black people get everything they need to get started here in the
What's up, guys? So yesterday I made a video about the inflow of immigrants from South Africa, right? Okay, so essentially these people don't have any resources, so the State Department will provide them with taxpayer taxpayer money, right? The thing that Fox News always complains about. We're going to help, we're housing, everything. You name it, the works. They're going to get the works because they don't have anything. They're immigrants. They're refugees. But yet, I don't see any outrage from Fox News. Why? Because these are people from South Africa. More specifically, these are white people who, according to the State Department and the Trump administration, are facing discrimination in South Africa. The South African government has clearly stated that they don't meet the criteria for citizenship. Basically, they don't have a real claim for refugee status or criteria. And they're going to get everything. Where's the outrage from Fox News? Right? Where's the outrage? They're white. There's no outrage.
On color of skin, you clearly are not going to acknowledge there's no genocide in South Africa. What about the genocide in the Congo? Will there be this expedited path available? You clearly are not going to acknowledge there's no genocide in South Africa. What about the genocide in the Congo? Will there be this expedited path available to the Congolese and to the Sudanese who are facing actual genocide?
Again, Victor, 8,666 individuals have been granted
You have
asylum.
a specific number on asylum. How many of those are from the Congo or from the Sudan?
I'm happy to come back next week and lay out all the single facts, but the fact that you have not addressed the fact that we have helped these individuals who are facing persecution, and you seem to want to whitewash the fact that South Afrikaners are facing persecution, and I can't understand why, and I think a lot of Americans can't understand why, and it's left to believe that it's because of the color of their skin, Victor.
So you suggest that I am the one here who is focused on color of skin when the president has let in Afrikaners specifically, and I'm asking how many of those who are actually facing genocide, who are from the Sudan and who are from Congo, who are being let in under some expedited path that the president has created for Afrikaners?
I don't know how many times I have to repeat this fact. 8,666 individuals have, if you will let me speak, have faced persecution.
You've repeated the number. You haven't answered the question.
I'm exactly answering the question. Regardless of color or creed, we will allow you into this country if you are facing persecution and you go through the proper vetting. You can be from the Congo, you can be from Rwanda. We are letting those in who are facing persecution, Victor.
I'll look for those numbers. Let's talk about you clearly.
Okay. Hope you've seen and you've understood on why this lady, she's complaining about Afrikaners to be taken in America. The question is, those people, those whites who are already in America, some of them are refugees. The reason being that they have been, the land which they were staying in was taken away. And Donald Trump has not done anything about them. And Donald Trump has just ignored their plea. Yet Donald Trump has taken the refugees who are in Africa, in South Africa. They have been given a status of refugee. But you've seen how people reacted online, how people reacted about them being called a refugee by them given a status of refugee. You saw there's a man who was among those people who went to America, the first trip who went to America. There's a man who left behind an apartment, who left behind his mother. He left behind the livestock in South Africa. So that incident has caused people talking online, asking them questions. Is it really these people are refugees? And some of the people are asking online, what was behind this act upon Donald Trump taking South Africans to America, those who are Afrikaners to America? This is the question that was among people in South Africa, in America, and the rest of the world. asking the questions. Why is it that there is some people who are suffering in Ukraine? There are white people who are suffering in Ukraine during those war that was going on in Ukraine versus Russia. But Trump has never, America, let us say America, because Trump has come in this term, it was Joe Biden. America was not thinking of, or was not coming up with the issue of taking those people who are in Ukraine, those white people who are in Ukraine as a refugee because of the war that was taking place in Ukraine. Because we know that a refugee is a person who runs away from a country that has war. It's a person who runs from other country because of a conflict, to go and get another living, or to go and rescue himself in another country for safety. So those people who are in Ukraine and those people who are in other countries like Congo, where the war is, are the people who are supposed to be given the status of a refugee. But in South Africa, we've not seen any war which was taking place in South Africa. We've not seen anything that concerns war in South Africa. So this is the question that people are asking themselves. Other people are saying that Elon Musk is a man behind this incident, or a man who is the advisor of Donald Trump to do this act. So the question is, what is the reason being that Elon Musk decides to take people? Yet we know Elon Musk was born in South Africa. Elon Musk was in South Africa, later went to America. But the question is, what is the reason being that Elon Musk decided to take white people in America? Yet people in America, you see the people in America who are in America, some of the people here in America are crying of them being a refugee, but they were not, the government of America he has not done anything about them. But instead, the government of America has decided to take people from South Africa to go to America by giving them the status of refugee. This is the question, guys. Even if you've ever been a refugee, you can just drop a comment and tell us what is the reason behind this thing. You can tell us, drop your comment and tell us what is the reason. What do you think that made Donald Trump to take these people from South Africa to America? We saw the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, denying this. He denied that the report of that there was a genocide in South Africa. We've seen some of the white people who are in South Africa, Afrikaners who are in South Africa, also are they are denying this issue of genocide in South Africa. They are denying the claim that the Afrikaners in South Africa are being discriminated, the lands are being taken away from them, they are being killed. Yet we saw apartheid. Most people who suffered are black people, or some of the black people who are the most big percent of black people suffered in apartheid. Most people who usually suffers in South Africa are black people. Yet Donald Trump has not done anything upon black people. Donald Trump took the black people who are in America and deport them to their residents in their African countries. So it's another question. Why is it Donald Trump not taking the